I have Alex Jonte in the building. I've known Alex for a few years now, and Alex is an amazing person. First off, he's super, super smart. Second off, he owns Jonte Productions, which is an amazing film company that creates all types of web series and films. And I really love Alex's work because he pushes the envelope of what we think Black boys can be. And that is amazing and perfect. So super happy to have him on tonight. Tonight's topic, as I said before, is body positivity 101, too skinny. And we're going to get into that. So the reason I decided I wanted to do this topic is because people pointed out to me, they said, you know, Mike, body positivity isn't just like for bigger people. Thinner people have the same issues. They have the same problems. Of course, I did my research, and that's definitely the case. And a lot of times, skinnier guys actually have a harder time than bigger guys. And when I say skinny, these are the people where your grandmother might say, oh, baby, you need to eat a sandwich, or let me, your clothes feel a little bit too loose. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing that. Let's put a little meat on your bones and such and such. And a lot of times we don't think about like how hurtful comments and stuff like that can be for somebody, because number one, they're still a human being. Number two, that's their body you're talking about. Like that's fundamentally, this is their earth suit that they're in. So Alex, I know one time I saw you do a post and you posted like about comments people make about skinny people, how like it's still prejudice and how it was wrong. And I was kind of like, but everybody wants to be.
Yeah, let's dive into that, because Mikey was very much like, I don't know what you're talking about. That is not a thing. He was really anti the skinny message. So to conceptualize this a little bit, right?
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Me and Michael have both had kind of both opposite end of the spectrums. Hey, y'all, I was in the spectrum kind of experiences, and I've kind of shared with him that on my end growing up, I've always kind of been like the tall and like lanky like guy, right? So I was into sports and like cross country, and typically like just our body type didn't allow for like muscle mass to really be there. Like for like the longest time, I could never even like float in the swimming pool because I didn't have enough mass on my body. I had too much lean mass to actually float. So like my feet were like first, it'd be like an anchor. It'd be really kind of cartoonish, right? So what we would suffer from the skinny perspective would be the fact that we would be in these like locker rooms with these athletically built guys and like, you know, the puffy muscles, especially short guys, because I'm taller, I'm 6'3".
Right.
Short guys have a very, to what I consider an easier time to gain muscle mass, right? Like if they went to the gym for like a straight week, in high school, it seemed like they'd be able to equip themselves with like athletic build muscle very fast, like protein shakes. Whereas somebody like for me, I wouldn't get that model body look. It would just always escape me, right? So
yeah, the high metabolism.
Yeah, very high metabolism, even now. So like, in this age I am now, it's very funny to me sometimes hearing guys who were like big and then kind of got small, because to me, y'all still like, there's still aspects like y'all had like a bigger booty, y'all had like, you know, certain aspects where y'all can at least tone up, that y'all had more to scope. Whereas me, it was almost like always an upward hill climb to kind of get some of that image. Especially coming up from the Midwest, where like in Chicago, we wore like double XL shirts. So I had like an umbrella shirt. I never really liked to show my body figure. Like I wanted to be more about, what do you say?
No, I was saying, wow. I was like, just hearing you say that, because like you said, me and you were on the opposite ends of the spectrum. We were feeling a lot of the same emotions, but just our outward self was different. Because I know, like you said, like you didn't have...
It's really the case of marketing, right? There's always this like masculine sort of look that we as like Black males try to achieve to, like, you know, be more muscular, have a certain chest build, have abs, have a certain arm or shoulders. And especially, so I think we need to like address the spectrum, right? So there is like the skinny guy, but it's like the tall skinny guy, right? So like I know like Corey's taller than I am. I'm 6'3". So it's really hard to like put so much weight on us and make it look like look like something like athletic and built. I think we need to talk about like body weight and then body types, right? Because people could be heavier set, but the way people wear their weight looks
It's
completely
different.
different.
Absolutely.
As gay black males have really doctor sized what the
Let's backtrack. Let's backtrack just a little bit because first off, like we said, we talked about just being a black male. Society hyper masculinizes everything when it comes to us. They set us up as an archetype of this is what tough looks like, this is what strong looks like, which has a really really negative stereotype because and when you look at other races, they look at us as being bigger, stronger, taller, and for that reason, we get it's prejudice against us. But then you flash forward and you cross-reference it with being homosexual, like your LGBT community, it's so much more stratified. So much more. Alex, are you there? Oh, okay. Guys, I think Alex had to pop out real quick. I'm not sure what's up. He coming back, but he was just talking a little bit. He was talking about, him being skinny and when he was growing up and how hard it was for him with his body type. And on my end, I was bigger growing up and how hard it is for my body type. And then, you get together. Let's bring Alex back on in. Because I want to continue this conversation.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what happened.
I don't know what happened either, but we're gonna jump back into it. So what I was saying is, as before we jump into the whole LGBT spectrum, as black men, they hyper masculinize everything for us. So much so that it's toxic. We got to be stronger. We got to be tougher. We got to be smarter. Everything about us has to be on point, like you were saying. And then when you transition that into sexuality, you cross-reference that to a guy who might be trans or gay or bisexual, it adds an extra pressure because that smaller, more marginalized group is even more stratified because they're trying to look as masculine as possible. So much so that they want to, what's the word? Be something that they're not.
It's all about marketing. So we can dive into that, gay or straight, right? Being portrayed as more masculine, we equivalate that to more body mass, right? Having a certain crossover look. So like the skinnier that you got, we do this now. Like the skinnier that you are, the smaller that you are, the shorter that you are, you must be a bottom, right? Or you must be a twink, or you're like, we have all these kind of subcategories.
Yeah, you know absolutely.
What I mean? The taller that you are, the more muscular that you are, you must be like the top, or you must be deal, or must be more masculine. And when I first started out acting, because of my height, because of certain my build, I would get more of those DL boyfriend type roles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember.
No. Well, they still because of a certain look. And I think the more that we actually kind of shine light about what we actually look like and more personality types, we kind of veer away from that. If we're really diving into the topic of what is too skinny, we think of it, like I said, it's more of a survival thing because of the gay community. If you have AIDS or HIV, if you're too skinny, you're associated with being sickly, right? And it's not sexy. Sickly is not attractive. Right? So you have to put on more mass or more, not even weight, more mass. And to your point, just being a bigger guy in life, you suddenly are basically back on that sickly path. You have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you have something that is not necessarily sexy or attractive. So you have to be a certain form in order to kind of fit.
Right, because they'll say, well, I like bigger guys, but it's a certain type of bigger guy that they like. And they're like, oh, well, he's thick or he's slim thick. Even that's broken down to categories. And it's really interesting that you brought up why people, how skinnier people were associated with being HIV positive and having AIDS. And it actually comes back to the rise of the AIDS epidemic back in the 80s. And that's when they said stratification for the LGBT community really, really catapulted as gay men started to bulk up, work out really hard, and really getting into fitness because they wanted to cover up the fact they were ill. The moment you got frail or the moment you started to get gunned, everybody knew what you had. And if you could prolong that as much as you can because you were fitter and that virus would eat away at that, you had a better chance, a longer chance of being happy. And so a lot of people don't realize that the stratification of the whole community when it comes to that stems directly from the AIDS HIV epidemic. And it's really sad. It's actually PTSD of a whole community when you think about it.
That projection, that particular epidemic, right? Stapled with the high population of Black men that are in prison, right? To be coming out, have this certain look, this certain hardness about you. All of that is what we start using and measuring ourselves up against. So no matter whether you were skinny or big, if you didn't fit this macho man kind of feel, then you were irrelevant, right? Or you were kind of a fetish or like something kind of try out, nothing to consider as human or something that was taken seriously or have longevity behind, right?
Right.
And if we have to get away from this too. So, and if you were in a relationship, either too skinny or too big, whatever that means,
right?
And something didn't work out, right? There was always this constant red flag that was measured up against you to be like, well, you were always too big or you were always too skinny for me anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it was never going to work out with you because of this. And like, that's always kind of gaslit a little bit.
Yeah. Either they say that to you or you in turn, you already thinking it in your head, well, this didn't work out because they weren't that attracted to me, or it's something wrong about me, and that's the thing that's got to be wrong about me. It's my size.
Or let's be honest, let's have this real conversation. Okay. So, or against ourselves, because you and I have both had conversations where we be like, we are both not the right type, right? We both need to do some work, and we've just measured ourselves because of what we think the kind of person that we want to attract is interested in versus just being.
Absolutely agree. We did have that conversation, and I know, like, we tried to push each other through that, but it's like, it's so hard when you feel like you're doing the work to transform, and then the person or the people you think you should be attracted to you still aren't. So then you realize you got some soul surgeries you have to work on. I had what I've been having to deal with in the last year.
I had huge self-image issues, right? I had huge, like, being called, like, lanky and just being tall. Like, I never felt like, one, because just growing up, I just never felt secure about sexuality in high school because of all the turmoil that comes with that. So trying to, like, have a physical shell with some type of protection, right, mentally. It wasn't until I got to college and my sweet mates kidnapped me and took me to, like, I think it's Aeropostale or American Eagle. It's one of them stores. And, like, they actually got me, like, a fitted shirt and, like, jeans that fit where I couldn't necessarily have leg room to stride out down, like, the plaza, right? And, like, the very first instance I had those clothes on, I came out and, like, a guy looked at me and I was like, oh, God, I don't want to be judged for my body because I'm not secure in it. I purposefully joined, like, a modeling troupe at Jackson State in order to push myself into a position where I was uncomfortable and be judged in that format, because as a model, as a person who is in front of any type of media platform, if someone says, oh, I don't really like those stretch marks, or oh, I can really see your ribs, or you're not really cute, there's nothing you can do tomorrow to instantly fix that. You know what I mean? Like, something that you have to kind of harbor and either be secure about how you look and be comfortable with that, or you get torn apart and you start trying to fit molds that aren't yours.
You just said a mouthful. You completely said a mouthful. But the thing I do like is you put yourself into an uncomfortable place so you can gain the confidence to push through that. So talk about that a little bit more.
My baby is up here. He's doing the most.
I see.
I think it's a compilation of a couple of different things, right?
Okay.
So if I have this is not my story at all, so let me just be clear that. If I have a particular attraction to light-skinned guys, right?
Okay.
Light-skinned guy meet, I'm always told, like, oh man, I really like you, but like, like, I really like somebody who's got more bass in their voice. You know what I mean? I would then start finding myself altering my voice and start talking to guys like this. You know what I mean? And just start sounding like this. And now the guy that was interested in me is like looking at me second guessing me, like, you know, that's not really you. You're kind of being fake. So if I can't really trust you to be authentic to yourself, where are you? So now as me looking at the light-skinned person, I'm like, well, I have changed pieces about myself to try to attract you, and that didn't work. So now I'm resentful about you because I've changed myself. Right. So now every time I see a light-skinned person, I'm evil. I feel like that same philosophy happens when it comes to like weight issues. If I'm a big guy and I'm attracted to a certain type of guy or personality or some type of archetype, and I'm getting told certain things and I'm feeling like I need to alter myself, and then I do that, and I'm still not with said entity, person, character. Now, look what I've done to myself in order to attract you. You know what I mean? Like it's
Ooh,
you. And
ooh,
like to start really doing the work and being like, these are my core characteristics. This is what makes me who I am. If I
right,
want to lose weight, if I want to gain weight, it's because it makes me goddamn happy.
right.
That's it. And
I, I
then
love that.
in that comfort, I start attracting what I want.
I love that.
Lamar.
I mean, you got to that level. People like myself are still trying to get to that said level. Because for me, you know, recently I hit a bit of a milestone. I'm at 199 pounds now. This is the smallest I've been my entire adult life. And I don't clap for it because for me, I feel like how much of myself did I have to give up to possibly be more attractive or be accepted more?
That's a valid.
Um,
I think. Hold on. Wait. That's a valid question. The more pertinent question is, what drove you to for the weight loss? Was it you, or is it you trying to attract something else?
Actually, what drove me to the weight loss was I think I got tired of being rejected in multiple different situations that were personal and professional. And then me not wanting anybody else to ever feel that way again. I pretty much got furious. It was a different type of rage. It was a righteous fury. Like I explained before, and you guys can go back and look at my previous 101s. They're on my YouTube channel, actually, so you can subscribe there. I talked about how I actually got a leading role in an independent film here in Atlanta. I went and I was going to be like, you know, the best friend or sidekick on the show. But it had me read for like the leading role. And I read for the leading role, did a really, really good job on it. Got a standing ovation and everything. And they said, no, we don't want you being the side guy. We want you to be the main guy. You're going to be the main. I was like, oh, wow, this is dope. So we came back a week later for the table read. The casting director was there. That's the one I had interacted with before. And the main director was there. And he was like the creator of it. And so, you know, we went around, did the table read. I thought everything was fine. It got time for me to leave. And the casting director pulled me to the side. And I said, hey, I said, what's going on? Is everything okay? He was like, yeah, we kind of want to go a different direction with the character. I was like, oh, are you going to make him a bad guy? Oh, my God, do I get to play a villain? So I was thinking that was going on. But he was like, no, we decided we're going to go with somebody completely different. We just want somebody who got like a leading man potential. You know, like I said, what does that mean? He was like, well, you know, Mike, you're perfect. You're perfect. You just lose maybe 60, 70 pounds and you'll be exactly what you need to be. You know, but you got it. You got it. And I was just like,
So during that feedback, your specific critique was about your weight, right?
that was his only critique was about my
So
weight.
so with that, then that project wasn't for you,
Right.
right? Because there have been, and that project wasn't for you for two reasons. And I don't know the company, I don't know the people, but I'll say this: as a screenwriter, as a person whose passion is storytelling, I write characters that move the plot forward. I write compelling story arcs that people can either be captivated by, curious about, or leaves them with some type of food for thought.
Okay.
If that only works if a person is athletically built or half naked, then my story isn't strong enough to move on its own. You see what I'm
Say
saying?
say that.
So like no matter what story I write, my lead character could be a white woman, it could be a gay black male, it could be Hispanic, it could be somebody disabled. If they have the talent, the story will be carried no matter who is it.
You
That's the
you
assistance.
saying it is like it's you saying it is exactly what what I've been trying to push and say to people. My mother always says your talent will make room for you. And I thoroughly believe that. I also believe that people should be cast or given opportunities based on their talent, not necessarily what they look like. That's a big part of body positivity on all fronts in every movement. And what I keep seeing, and I'm not going to just single out the community, quote unquote community, at all, period. I'm just going to say in media altogether, across the board, is are you casting the people because they're talented, because they can actually move the story along, like Alex is saying? They actually can act. Let's be clear about that. Or are you doing it because they got this following, or they look this certain type of way? Because my thing is, I don't want to watch a show where it's a quote unquote beautiful cast, but nobody can act. And at the same time, I don't want to put certain characters in certain positions where I know, like, yo, they really can't do that. You get what I'm saying?
So I would say, so there's two fronts to this. I'm going to get back to the body positivity. I'm going to circle
it's
back.
all body positivity. We're still talking about it. It's all about
there's points, right?
Right.
As a producer director, it's my responsibility to provide stories that are different and compelling, that are new, that I can give opportunities to my community to showcase themselves in a different light. That's my responsibility. As talent, I have the opportunity to say, hell no, I won't do this. Right? And you have to look at, from a talent perspective, you have to look at two different business models. There's a business model that says, hey, I understand that there is a demand for a certain type of story that's going to involve hypersexualized, pretty people, whatever that means, right? And that's going to be solely based numbers. And I'm going to say it right, wrong, or different. If somebody has their own website and they're based upon how they pay their rent and eat, they need to get a certain amount of people to their website in order to make their numbers. Mm-hmm. They use a quick hit show to make sure that that particular audience is attracted, right? Then there's another business model that says, like I've been saying, I'm going to tell the story. You look at Issa Rae, you look at the way Marvel does stuff, you look at Game of Thrones before the last season, you look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's really built on story development, character development, see a very long road. You have the option both as an actor. If I'm trying to jump in as talent and be like, I just want to be popular, I want to be popping on social media so people know who I am, you may jump to that first ladder. You know, that may be it for you. If you don't want to put in this isn't really your passion, or this isn't your lane, and you just be like, oh, I see people just like interested in this and I could be a face, cool. If you are trying to develop yourself and show yourself in different facets and show that you are versatile as an actor, from drama, horror, thriller, comedy, if you're interested in that, then you may do more work. You may work on an accent. You may work on a different body movement to show how a character can be perceived differently. Because if you are coming as a talent with that type of criteria, I may have had something in mind for a character that you may show me something completely different, and we completely change the story so you can fit it.
Why isn't everybody as smart as you? I'm sorry. What you just said, it makes total sense, and it seems like it should be just that easy to implement. But I see across the board so many.
But we have a mixed bag, and that's just not gay. That's straight. That's black.
No, it's not even about.
That's
because for me, when I hear certain things, and saying we can go back to stuff like that, you hear situations where they say, okay, well, nobody wants to watch a movie or a film where they see people that are like too skinny or too big, or a film that's just all black, or a film that's led mostly by women. That's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. We originally started off saying once upon a time that no, we don't want to see black people in movies. Black people in movies. Next thing you know, black people in movies everywhere. They didn't want to see women in movies. You see women in movies everywhere. Next thing you know, you see gay people. They didn't want to see gay people. We got to stop saying what people don't want to see. Television, media, all of it is completely about people wanting to see themselves in some fashion or form represented. Everybody wants to be represented.
I'm gonna get 2 points. The first point is every lane isn't for everybody. And I say that because we live in a society and a community where a lot of people have no idea and no self-identity about who they really are. So as a person who may have just landed in Atlanta, I may say, hey, you know, Alex does this works for Alex, so let me try to jump in there. And it doesn't necessarily fit you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now I have this kind of disdain or some type of impression about what you believe something is or is not. And I feel like some of those people are taken advantage of by those first people I talked about that are looking for numbers.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And I'll
We
say
both
on the second hand, I've also seen myself go through from a body positivity perspective. If I look at my very first appearance, my very first project I ever was in was for my friend's project for recreational drama, Judy's, and I was like the DL guy that they met up. And when I look at that, like I was so skinny in that I was like coming out of a really bad relationship. I had been depressed, you know.
Hmm.
It's like me as a person, I can see that about myself in that particular piece of work. Complete, and I've literally seen me go from that to like free fall, where I see like me become a little bit more energetic about the projects, a little bit more serious about the craft, to where I am now. But that was my own personal journey, and I didn't really have to have anybody say, "Oh, you're too skinny," to feel like I wanted to do work, because it had nothing to do with my body weight and more to do about where I was mentally and emotionally. It just so happened to reflect in how I looked physically. I think I think for me, it doesn't matter about being skinny or big. It's about being healthy, and I think more of that conversation really needs to be said.
I think what I tell people is body positivity is something that blankets everybody. Body positivity blankets everybody. But your own personal health is kind of almost like your relationship with God. It's your own personal health and what you feel is healthy for you and what you need to do for yourself to maintain whatever type of life it is that you want to live. But body positivity in itself is, like no discriminating based on how I look. Tell me what I can and can't do based on this, based on how I look or how you perceive me to be. And it's just time to cut that shit out, pretty much. And so I want to drop some facts that I found out about guys that are too skinny, that are labeled as too skinny when it comes to body positivity. They are actually they have a 36 they actually have a 36% chance of having some form of mental illness or depression based on the pressures they receive from body positivity. They have a slightly higher suicide rate. Sometimes it's linked possibly to, like you said, them not being able to gain the weight that they want. They're perceived as weaker, frailer, smaller, unhealthy, as we talked about earlier, based on perceptions and stereotypes about how men should look, and based on where you live it in the world. If they'll be discriminated some type of prejudice. As a matter of fact, they list Africa and parts of South Asia, places where slim to skinny men would probably be viewed as most attractive.
You want to know? You want to hear something else?
Go ahead.
Um, when it comes to that, so I would just share with everybody. So in high school, I was suicidal. I was very suicidal in high school, and I was skinny. Like I was really depressed. There was a lot going on at home, but I was really depressed, and again, it showed physically about where I was emotionally. To your point, I remember reading and seeing a chart, um, and this has more to do with like straight white people from a statistic and demographic standpoint, but it was like the richer a guy is, like the bigger that he becomes, right? So like, you know, the big fat bankers, if you pay attention to news, like George Zimmerman, for instance, after he killed Trayvon Martin, he started gaining all this weight in jail. So when he made it to trial, he appeared more like a white over obese white man. That's how he looked.
Like
So he had sympathy from guys, from white males who are also obese, who can visually see themselves as him, right? It was a very strategic tactic. Women, on the other hand, when they are like poor or suffering or going through stuff, you'll see that women are usually typically, not saying this is fact, but typically are bigger. The more successful women become, the more weight they start losing, more have, and more aesthetically pleasing to men they start to look. So as one becomes more successful, men become bigger and richer and can eat whatever they want and can have a certain type. And then women have to start becoming skinnier as they become richer in order to attract a certain type of male. And if you look at more like straight community, women usually have a bigger guy.
Lamar.
Typically. Oh, Lamar buying the badge. The women usually have like a bigger guy. You know what I mean? Like I can tell you how many times I have like straight girls. You see that guy, you be like, really him?
Yeah. But you know what? Though, but you know exactly what it is, right? It's a hunter versus gatherer. It's a hunter versus gatherer mentality. It goes back to evolution. When it comes to what men look for in, well, straight men, they should say, look for in a mate. They look for like attractiveness, a younger woman, beautiful, so fertility. And when it comes to women, they look for a man with resources. So his appearance is not necessarily quite so important as opposed to, can he provide for me and any other children that we might have? You see that all the time. Some of our really him thing. But that's I mean, I definitely think that's amazing. Alex, I never had one point because of this situation. Well, they played a part into it. And how are you now? Where is your headspace these days when it comes to your body? Because I mean, I see your photo shoots and everything, and you are what most people would consider aesthetically pleasing now. You're in a healthy relationship. You seem very happy. You're successful. You have good friends.
But honestly, I don't even think so. Thank you. One. I don't think about the way I look now. Like I'm just not working out because I'm working out not as a tool to look good for anybody, but as a community builder because my boyfriend is in that community, as a experience I have with people I care about, right? So my boyfriend, he's very much into yoga in that community, right? Like connected with my best friend, connected with my mom, connected with like my family. It's a tool that we kind of like use to like have community with one another. And to, like I said, for me, it's all about health. It has nothing to do with who's skinny, who's big, because to my mom, I'll always be like the tall, lanky son that she has. I mean, no matter how toned or whatever I look, that's just gonna be it, right? Um, to me, I feel like there's always gonna be work. Like because of my body type, I'll never have that Saved by the Bell puffy muscle look that we all see without having some weird thing happen to me. Like it just won't happen. For me, it's more about my mental and emotional state, having stability and having peace. And it just so happens to reflect. I think that's when people have peace in their life, their skin glows, hair grow back, relationship with God get better, things like that. You can tell when people are stressed out, edges is gone, skin together, trying to figure it out.
it just is a motherfucker. He said, "I'm sick of this puppy word." I mean, I understand. I get what
Lamar has puffy muscles, but Lamar's also shorter than I am, right? So I feel like shorter, and this is also short versus tall. I think it's a lot easier for short guys to change of their physicality of their bodies than it is for taller guys.
I can see that. Well, it also depends. Wait a minute. It also depends on the short person's metabolism too, because there are a lot of slim, short guys as well too. And then that's a bit of a double whammy as well, because a lot of times people discriminate against people because they're short as well. When it comes to so this is what they said in America. Yeah. The most attractive, quote unquote, when it comes to American standards of beauty, a man is 6 feet tall, athletic to muscular build, hair, and he's ethnic of some sort. They didn't give
Well,
up. They didn't say what
oh,
kind of. But like, oh my goodness, and it's crazy. Like this something American standard of beauty. Fuck the standard. Fuck the standard. Because the thing about it is, no two people look alike.
so let's start. How can I say this? Let's start looking at what we like and what we consider to be the norm as the standard. If you look at the Oscars and look at the Grammys and you look at, I won't say the Tonys are exception. We have really started adjusting the bar about what the fuck does and does not make it, right?
Right.
I'm trying to think what else do I consider to be like, or what the why?
So that also the bar is adjusted because typically older people are at that level when they're receiving those Oscars and stuff like that. The average Oscar winner is in their late 40s, early 50s.
Listen to me. I'm not anti anybody. I'm here for gay rights, black people, trans, but I'm waiting for the old people to go ahead and go. There's a lot of things I'm just waiting for. A great many of them to go ahead and kick that smooth bucket. I'm just gonna say it. Y'all can quote me if y'all need to. We can have a different kind of conversation when it comes to like ageism. A lot of them can go ahead and go, family included. Child, there has been more trauma from families, expectations, church that have come from the older generation that they can just go ahead and go. And if we just start accepting the fact that we are the ones that are setting the standards, we are the ones that are saving lives in the medical field, technologically advanced, setting the tones when it comes to education, what those needs are, because they're trying to go back on that. Politics. Why are we so prudent or getting the acceptance of people who are outdated?
That's what I don't understand. It seems like this is the time, and that's why conversations like this are so important, because clearly the standard is hurting people. And in some cases, like I explained, when it comes to race or suicide, and
also the views in this, thank you, Orlando. The views in this live do not reflect those of Jonvier Productions or its affiliates. I'm sorry. That's
wow. Okay.
Nor does it reflect the views of my man. But yeah, fuck him. Fuck him.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Any questions, commentary when it comes to body positivity 101, too skinny? Feel free to ask your questions.
Let me ask a question. What would you consider to be too skinny in the research that you did? While people generate questions, if they have any in the comments, what did you find to be too skinny? Because we can talk about too big all day, right?
What do I consider too skinny?
Mm-hmm.
How I stand with body positivity. I mean, I feel like people should look however they want to look. But I think too skinny for me would be when you're clearly labeled as being, when you nutritionally, when you're malnourished. I'll just say that. When the scientists and doctors are saying you're a malnourished human being, like you're not eating enough food to even run your bodily and daily functions, that's what I consider too small. Their bones protrude from their skin. People's bones naturally protrude from their skin. I can't say that.
I think it's good to call out like some of those derogatory things that we hear, right? So bigger guys, like, your fat ass, obese or whatever like that. To a lot of people that I know, you wouldn't know how much they weigh depending on how they carry their weight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, people carry different weight sizes differently.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, like, being shorter, you could be 150 and appear obese simply because of the way the weight is carried on you, versus being 6 foot, being that same weight size and being considered too skinny.
Yeah, because your body contributes more.
I hear like, I mean, you hear the movies like all the time. You're like, you too skinny. I'd probably break you in half, and then be the ones with the biggest, heaviest dick. Like this skinny boys. Let's just talk about it. Or
oh my,
bigger guys use for just like ass or like some type of like fat fetish. You know what I mean? Like they're on both sides. We need to stop setting up armies and camps against one another on the precipice on the fact that we are both trying to get to this center view to please whoever the fuck. We really just start being mentally and emotionally happy with ourselves and have a stable support system. If the people that feel like they are too skinny or too big, if they really had positive reinforcement from 2 or 3 people around them, a lot of that dismay would not be the case.
I have to disagree with you on that because
I got a fat
when
fit.
when you might have those 2 or 3 people and those voices are like right there with you, but when you have a society at larger, whether it's outright saying it, non-verbally saying it, culturally saying it to you, you turn on the TV and it's in your face, it can drown all that out. And you know, and the people that are around you are saying this to you because, hey, that's your brother, your sister, your friend, your mother, whatever, and they love you. They're supposed to say those things to you. They're going to try to speak those things into you. But when the world at large is saying this about you is not okay and you need to fix it, and it's like this every day, all day, it can drive you insane.
So what
It's
happens?
going to warp your personality.
So what happens when you actually hit that nail on the head? You become that body type, and they point to something else. What then? Right?
And like I said, so that's so like I said, like what I'm learning now, and I'm just learning from personal experience too, is it can't just be a physical transformation. It has, like you said before, it has to be a mental transformation as well too. And you
We
have to do
all,
some real soul surgery.
we all need therapy. Let's just put that out.
Definitely.
I promote like
Everybody needs to have a therapist in their payroll. You need to have a good barber. You need to have a good doctor. You need to have a good friend. You need to have a good significant other, and you need to have a good therapist. Period.
what I listen to the Read podcast. This is just everyone, just a small plug. Another small plug. The Assistant 2 Reconnected is coming out October 1st. Michael was in the first one. The second one is dropping on Amazon Prime. But yes, the Read. They talk about Talkspace and going in, like being able to take that mobile device and have that type of therapy session. Because honestly, that's, if we talk about the way people consume food or the lack thereof, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at people who have babies and people who have toddlers or kids, when they get emotional and they start crying, the first thing people usually do is like give them food, right? That type of trend in emotional response transcends to a lot of people. I don't fall in this category. I thank God. I don't fall in this. I'm not an emotional eater. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, so a lot of people when they're emotional, they are happy. They get together at a kickback and they expect, them wings to be there, them fries. If they're sad, they may be in their room and they may have peace all around them. People emotionally eat because out of all the crazy shit that's been going on in the world, food is usually like the one thing you can control.
It
You know,
is.
good, better, and different. Food is that
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I can say, I can at least do this, right? If we really start peeling back the layers and say, what are some of our own personal triggers? Like, how can we heal from whatever? We start taking our dependency off of food, both skinny and big, and we can start really addressing some of these other issues.
I agree.
That's that. But a lot of times we're moving so fast, we don't really have time to think about that. You know what I mean? Because I have to get up and work and pay rent that I'm behind on, or I have to have a certain image because my friends are all going to Dominican Republic during COVID. I don't know why. My friends are going to Dominican Republic, and I need to be able to be in a swimsuit, and I'm stressing myself out, and I can't do a certain thing. Or the guy that I'm talking to every day weekend coming up, so I need to be ready for Black Pride. Or all these weird materialistic expectations that we place on ourselves that don't really mean shit in the long run. We do to ourselves.
You are speaking the gospel truth tonight, Alex Jonte, and I love you for it. Guys, as Alex mentioned earlier, he has the Assistant 2 that will be coming out on what day?
October 1st, Amazon Prime. There also will be a theater premiere. I think this is exclusive. There will be a theater premiere of that movie for the cast, and depending on which venue, I'm still trying to lock that down. But the Eventbrite link will be sent out and shared with people. So as long as your ticket's available, people can come see the premiere of the movie in theaters. I believe all horror movies should be experienced in theaters first and then brought home.
I agree.
I'm a big proponent of having that experience. So if the country's not locked down again, we'll see it in theaters. I actually want the country to get locked down again. I enjoyed the time spent inside, left the hell alone.
I was good. No,
But
I do that.
COVID's a real thing, and we should all take one. But yeah, I think overall the mental health, and a lot of, ironically, the assistant and the assistant two, at the base layer is about mental health.
Absolutely.
At the very base layer, it's about mental health, how you deal with trauma, past trauma, and trauma that you project and inflict on others. The assistant is about mental health.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I probably won't be able to come to the movie theater and see it, but I will definitely be streaming it right here on my Amazon Prime because I always want to support anything that you do. Like I said earlier when you came on, I think the thing that I like the most about you is you cast Black boys in roles that I normally don't see them in. We need to see more Black vampires and werewolves and serial killers and stuff like that. I'm tired of seeing us play just one thing, even when it comes to like LGBT stuff. I'm tired of us just being the trade boy or the pretty boy that floats through the room or the caricature. I like that you show that Black people can have and be all types of possibilities, and I just looking forward to seeing you grow and expand on that even further. I'm waiting for that Black superhero we talked about once upon a time, and I know you're gonna make that happen. So I'm all for Black boy joy, all his forms, and that's just real. So thank you, Alex, for kicking it with me on Body Positivity One-on-One Too Skinny. I want you guys to understand that body positivity, as I've said all before, is for everybody, all body types. And it's the belief that no one should be discriminated against based on their body type or deny opportunities thereof because of it. Whether you're this size or you're this size or you're what they try to say, trying to get to in between, you're beautiful in all your sights and forms. So thank you, Alex, for tuning in with us tonight. If you guys support what I'm doing here, you can actually go to the link tree in my Instagram bio and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will see all of my one-on-ones and they're fabulous, wonderful people that I've talked to. Tomorrow, we will have Travis Dimitri on and we will be doing Mental Health Matters 101, suicide prevention.
I just want to say, I worked with Travis on the Steel River when we were young, and he's a great person. I want to shamelessly plug, if you do support arts and storytelling and the LGBT community being highlighted and shown in different and new perspectives, no matter the body size, shape, color, whatever, feel free to, I have a GoFundMe going right now. It's also in my bio. The link is there to support. We definitely appreciate no donation is too small. I also want to just say, in the first assistant, I purposely picked Rico Cassadine and like the sex scene that I had in that particular movie, just so you can see intimacy and romance. It wasn't even about sex. Intimacy and romance of Black LGBT characters and people in that kind of light. You'll get treats in the assistant too as well. But that was something I consciously did specifically for body positivity. I know he's a really big proponent of that. And I just kind of wanted to shout him out briefly before we end it.
Okay. Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Alex. All right, guys. So make sure you subscribe, support Alex in all his endeavors. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I will see you tomorrow. Mental Health Matters 101, suicide prevention, all the badges and proceeds, whatever money we get for tomorrow will be going towards that. So please tune in, 7 p.m. tomorrow. I love you for watching. Have a great night. See you later, Alex.
Hi, everyone.